been a while since I did one of these. In fact, I've only done one of these a couple of years ago now. I think it was right after we started just exclusively feeding toddler solids, which just sounds so gross to me. I don't know why. It sounds like waste, like sewage. I don't know why, but it does. Anyway, it was right after they were no longer having milk or anything like that, and just having, like soy milk, right? So I think they were still eating some baby food, and so obviously things are a lot different now, 2 years or so later. And I know some of you have asked for this, so I thought it'd be cool to see kind of a typical day for a toddler. No peanut butter though, which they usually pretty much every day eat peanut butter, like me. I do want to say that I'm not a dietitian or a doctor or anything like that. I'll put some resources in the description for those who are interested. I will say though, I think for, feeding a kid vegetarian is one thing, but feeding a kid vegan, there are a lot of other potential issues involved. So I do think that it is a very, 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 very good idea to speak with speak with your pediatrician. Obviously, they should be aware if your kid is on a vegan diet or if you are considering putting them on one, and also talk to a dietitian. At least with certain clinics and maybe certain insurance plans, they will have kind of an in-house dietitian, and they will allow like 1 or 2 visits or something like that at either a lower cost or free or something. I've seen something like that with our clinic, but I do think that I think it's the Canadian Pediatric Society. They say, specifically for vegan diets that exclude all animal products, that they recommend that you work with a doctor with a dietitian, particularly if your kid is picky like mine. This is kind of one of the criticisms that I have of certain channels that are showing what their kids eat, and it's a whole bunch of smoothies and salads and stuff. And, that's potentially fine, but obviously their kids are really good eaters, and not everyone has that luxury. So please see a professional is what I would say, coming from a non-professional. So starting off, after my kids, had their teeth brushed, which we did not do this morning. So, it happens. Anyway, they have their vitamins. We use this Renzo brand. That's actually fairly new. My partner looked into it and was fairly impressed. And what I like about it is that, it's not a gummy or anything. They're these little melty tabs. They don't have a bunch of sugar or anything like that. I don't really so much care about that, but I do like that they melt easily. They have stuff in them. Like, I find that a lot of the gummies, the vegan and just regular gummies, they really don't have a whole lot. I guess it's a taste issue, right? If you're trying to make something taste good, there's only so many and certain vitamins that you can put in them, right? So often they don't have a lot of the things that I'm really looking for, like iodine. And also the price, it's like, take 2 to 4 gummies a day. What the hell? It ends up being so expensive. Whereas these are the only ones that I've seen that actually have a decent serving size. So their serving for 1 to 3 years is half of a tablet. And then I think for 4, it goes up to 2 tablets. But yeah, it's way more affordable than like any other gummy or anything that I've seen. We were previously using the main like vegan kids multi. It's like a chewable thing, but I think they stopped selling it. That's why we stopped using it. And then we just happened to find the Renzos. So point is, we use their Picky Eater multi. I like that it has iodine in it. It has B12 in it. It has iron in it and vitamin C, which improves the, absorption of iron. It has some vitamin D, but not very much. So we do also use their vitamin D, which is vegan as well. They had a nice little card, at least they used to. I don't know if they still do, but a little card. His son wanted something that was friendlier or something like that. So they made it vegan. They used the lichen derived D3. So I thought that was pretty sweet. So yeah, they get the multi every day. They get the vitamin D every other day because I think it's got 1,000 international units in it. So, kind of a fair amount. And they do get some vitamin D from their milk as well. And then they also get DHA. We do that like every other day. We use, I'll show you. I don't remember what the brand is called, but Toddler actually loves it. They love the taste. We actually just use like a a kind of a dropper thing that we got from something else that we had. I think iron when they were little, because, you know, you're supposed to supplement for iron if a baby is breastfed after 4 to 6 months. So yeah, we just used that for this now and just literally like squirt it into their mouth. I really like it. After they get their vitamins, I get them their milk ready. They drink soy milk, about 16 ounces. I just fill up one of these cups that we got off Amazon. They're pretty great. You have to be careful because they can break fairly easily. It's got like kind of 2 layers, and the outside layer can come off pretty easily, but they're still usable. So we've got a bunch that only has the inner layer that we still use. Then they had one of these muffins. I've talked about these before. I've not made them in a long time. We just happen to have a bunch of super ripe bananas. So I made some yesterday morning. They're the Isa, banana nut muffin. They're super good. I use all walnuts. I think she does half walnut, half pecans, which sounds really good, but I like never have pecans. So I just use all walnuts. And whole wheat flour. Yeah, they're super, 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 super dense. So they had one of those. And some blueberries with a sort of chocolate frosting. This was actually just left over from Tiny Baby's birthday. Partner made them actually a fairly decent sized cake that they actually eat a little bit of. I remember for Toddler's first birthday, we got them a little baby cake. What do they call it? A smash cake. And I think they took maybe 1 bite of it, but Tiny Baby actually ate a little bit. I think I probably ate most of it. Anyway, it was just a chocolate cake with some chocolate frosting. We had some left over, so partner was like, we need to eat these blueberries and frosting. So here you go. Normally, because we use like chocolate dips and stuff, fairly frequently, I guess, if Toddler's like not into something, because they go back and forth. Sometimes they really like blueberries or whatever fruit. Sometimes they don't. So, to kind of coax them, it's like, ooh, look, here's a chocolate frosting or chocolate dip or something. But usually it's like, cocoa powder and almond butter and dates, something like that, right? It's not just like chocolate and sugar. I mean, it is still sugar from dates, but, a little healthier. Pistachios, which I forgot to record. Again, they were gone like almost immediately. Toddler just loves pistachios all of a sudden. We actually just bought a huge bag from Walmart, I think, which I'm hoping they're good because like we bought whatever that major pistachio brand is, and like half of them were burnt. They were horrible. So we usually stick to the Trader Joe's. I'm hoping these are okay because, I'm always into pistachios. I love pistachios. And now Toddler is super, super into them. So yeah, it was probably close to an ounce, if not an ounce, of pistachios that they ate again, like really, really fast. Obviously, you have to be careful. I think the standard guidelines are like no nuts unless it's a nut butter, for kids until they're like 4 or 5, something like that. We don't follow that because, my kid loves almonds and pistachios and stuff, and we eat them all the time. But we're really careful. We, make sure they, bite it in half, right? Don't just put the whole thing in their mouth, and we're always around them, in case something does happen, right? So yeah, I've read from a lot of other parents who are like, what? My kid can't have peanut? Like, what are you talking about? Of course we feed them, nuts. So I know I'm not the only one, but again, I'm not a dietitian or a doctor or anything like that. Definitely follow your doctor's recommendations on that. Then they had some more fruit, some pineapple that we had in the fridge, and also a little bit of a Cara orange that I was eating. I had no idea that they are crazy, like in terms of vitamin A. They actually have like a lot of vitamin A. Regular oranges don't really. I don't think they have hardly any. So that's pretty cool. I didn't remember what they tasted like. I hadn't had them in so long because they're a little bit more expensive, right, than just your regular navel oranges, but it's pretty good. Not too much different from a regular orange, considering they have so much vitamin A. I don't know. That's kind of cool. I'll get them sometimes, I guess, if they're on sale. Then they had their kind of big meal. What they typically do is they'll have like a breakfast, like they had their muffin. Although, you know what? They kind of just grazed on that too. Usually they'll have like a breakfast, like a meal kind of thing. And then they'll just snack, and they won't really eat like a lunch, a sit down kind of lunch. It's really hard to get them to do that because they're just not hungry enough for it. So they'll typically snack, on things. And then dinner, they'll have another kind of big meal. And then either that'll be it or they'll continue to snack like they did yesterday. So we had some leftover curry that I made. It's got potatoes and carrot and broccoli. Yeah, it's not like a traditional curry thing. It's actually based on another Isa recipe from her Isa Does It book. Chickpeas, her recipe doesn't have chickpeas. It has tofu in it, but I added some chickpeas and I replaced the tofu with the Gardein chicken strips, the meatless strips, whatever they're called. Toddler really, really loves those. So I use, and we have like, our freezer is just so full. It's so full. So, and I think we have like 5 bags of those in there or something. Oh, I don't add any spice or anything. No, sriracha or anything like that. Cayenne, whatever. I just add it later. Partner and I add it later to ours because now, Toddler used to love spice. I think I remember saying that. Like they would always eat, we'd go to our favorite restaurant and they would get this like Kung Pao chicken thing and it's like fairly spicy, and they loved it. That's like one of their favorite things ever. And then all of a sudden they will complain if something is spicy. Yeah. So, maybe I should just keep spicing the food normally and let them get used to it again. But if I can get them to eat something like this, a curry with a bunch of vegetables, like, I don't really care if they're going to eat spicy food or not. I mean, hey, they eat a lot of garlic. Like I put, if a recipe calls for like 3 cloves of garlic, I'm putting like 8 in there, right? So they're eating like a lot of garlic and onion and stuff like that. I know there are some kids who can't even handle that. Speaking of being picky, I meant to mention earlier, they've actually had like a breakthrough, maybe about a month ago. All of a sudden, they started eating way more. I think what happened is they had a growth spurt because all of a sudden they were incredibly hungry and eating so much food and like more foods, like more types of foods all of a sudden, just like eating, what I had made for dinner, which before was like hard, like really, really hard to get them to eat. It was a battle. So yeah, I think they just got so hungry that it was like, okay, they'll just eat anything. And then it stuck. They're eating more food than they were in general, I would say, I think. But yeah, they're eating like way more foods as well. And pretty much every single night now they're eating dinner, like what I made for dinner for everyone they're eating. So, for some of us, that's like a huge deal. That's like really, really exciting. So yeah, we're kind of working on that and making that kind of the standard mainstream thing for Toddler. And then I'll start to work more on having a more, a standard lunch and a lunchtime every day, right? And having more of a meal with some vegetables as well. But yeah, it was crazy. It was just all of a sudden. And I mean, we were working on it more and really like, making them sit down and like, here's your food. And we even bought these little hourglass timers because what they would do, because they're smart and manipulative, is they would just sit there forever and not eat. And then, it's bedtime and they know that I'm not going to put them to bed without food. I know they're not going to starve if they miss a meal. But like maybe, maybe they will. And how awful would that be? Like, I know that's not possible, but maybe. So they know if they just wait long enough, I'm going to give them, whatever it is that they want. So yeah, I was doing better, but I really think that it was just the growth spurt because again, it happened so fast and all of a sudden they were eating way more foods and like, yeah. And they're also really excited about growing now. They're super excited about getting bigger and taller and stronger and all of that. So I've used that as like hey, you got to eat your healthy food so you can get bigger. And so they're talking about that all the time. And yeah, chocolate's a treat. Chocolate won't make you grow stronger. It won't make you get taller, that sort of thing. So yeah, they ate, there was rice as well, some brown rice under the curry. And so they ate pretty much all of that, almost all of that. So then they always get a little treat after dinner. They got a couple pieces of chocolate. It's this endangered species brand, which I thought I hadn't tried before, but I think it's just new packaging because I think I kind of do remember the old packaging. I think maybe I tried it, but anyway, it was like the cheapest one. So I got they have a raspberry dark chocolate and dark chocolate with cacao nibs in it. And then they have an almond sea salt one. That one is so delicious. I usually, when I would get chocolate bars, I'd get the Theo brand, but like I said, this one was cheaper. So I was like, oh, I'll try it. And yeah, the almond sea salt is like that's my favorite chocolate. It is so freaking good. But I saved that one for me. So Toddler got the raspberry, 2 of those, 2 little pieces of it. And then they were still hungry. So they had another one of those muffins, one of those giant muffins. And then they were still hungry. So they had a few craisins. We've got a bunch of bags. They're actually really good. They're cherry flavored craisins that they had at the dollar store for super cheap. And I think I don't even know how many bags we have, but they're really, really good. And usually Toddler doesn't like them, but they actually asked for them. So they got just a little bit of that, and that was it. So yeah, pretty good day. Like I said, would like to get them a little bit more vegetables, although the curry did have, a fair amount. A lot of fruit, a lot of nuts, a lot of peanut butter. Like I said, they didn't really have any today. And that's a good thing too for choline. So they get a lot of choline from the soy milk. That meets like most of their needs. And then typically they have, probably 2 tablespoons of peanut butter a day, which is actually a pretty good source of choline. Broccoli as well. Yeah, and other than that, just probably less added sugar, right? I mean, the chocolate frosting's not, maybe not the best thing for breakfast. I didn't realize how stressed I was about their eating and just everything until all of a sudden, like I said, they just improved like by 60%, just their attitude and what they're eating and everything. And I mean, it's not like they've never struggled with their weight or nutritional deficiencies or anything like that. Their iron has always been great. Nothing's ever been wrong, but, I'm a mom and I'm an anxious worrier person and I catastrophize. And so, of course, if there's something even just slightly not great, well, it's the worst thing ever. And now my kid's going to starve to death, So yeah, I'm feeling better. I'll say that. Oh man. Kids, they're great. They don't give you gray hairs or make you stressed or tired or anything. They're just lovely all the time. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it's maybe a little bit eye-opening. A lot of the vegan kid what ate todays are fairly similar in terms of like smoothies and salads and green juices and stuff like that. So hopefully you can see that like you don't have to feed your kid that sort of stuff. And in fact, some kids are going to be really resistant to that sort of stuff. Sometimes my kid really wants a smoothie, but often they just do not. They're not going to have a smoothie every single morning. I'm not going to have a smoothie every single morning. Kill me. Again, not saying this is perfect by any means, but in terms of nutrients, I mean, they probably got every single thing they needed, even without the vitamin, other than B12, obviously, and vitamin D, but maybe vitamin E they're a little bit low on. I think that's pretty typical for vegans, unless you're eating a lot of oil, a lot of sunflower seeds, right? But a lot of omega-3s from the muffins, obviously, a lot of protein just from everything, and the soy milk, a lot of zinc from the soy milk and the nuts, and even the Gardein strips, right? Calcium from the soy milk, selenium from the nuts and the soy milk. Yeah, soy milk is incredible, right? I mean, it really, that's another thing too. A lot of the vegan kid videos I've seen, they don't have any sort of non-dairy milk, and by any sort of, it should be soy milk. Perhaps the pea milks are okay as well, as long as they're fortified. I would, again, talk to a doctor or dietitian about that just to be sure. I definitely prefer the soy milk just because soybeans are such a good source of choline, but I imagine that the pea milks would be fairly good as well. They're using the split peas, which should have a fair amount of choline. That's a big concern for me, seeing these kids not having any sort of calcium fortified anything, or again, having a really good choline source. And also, I hope this gives a little bit of maybe comfort to those of you who are dealing with really picky eaters, vegan or not. I literally had a kid who threw up eating certain things, eating broccoli, eating carrot, certain vegetables. So, when I say that we really struggled to get them to eat healthy foods, I mean, it wasn't just a matter of like me giving in. It was also like, I can't keep trying to get them to eat this when they're gagging. They haven't done that in a long time. They're eating more and more foods. Like, it really can improve So don't stress too much. I know that's, easier said than done, but if you keep working at it and just be as calm as possible around food so that they don't get like freaked out, yeah, things can really improve. And sometimes maybe all it takes is a growth spurt is for them to just get really, really hungry. I guess that's it. I will say that I always use iodized salt in stuff, right? So in the curry, I guess they didn't really have anything else with salt on it, did they? Yeah, not really. But yeah, so if I'm making a curry or anything that I make for dinner, I'm always using iodized salt. It's a problem for vegans because, most kids, they're drinking cow's milk, and cow's milk has a crap ton of iodine because of the, betadine that they are literally cleaning the equipment with, that they're milking the cows with. So it's not like milk just naturally has a shit ton of iodine. It's actually fortified with iodine, essentially, right? But the vast majority of non-dairy milks are not. I don't think I've ever seen one here in the US that is fortified with it. So, your average kid is meeting, I think it's like 80% of their iodine needs just from cow's milk, whereas the non-dairy milks, including soy milk, has like virtually none. And, you're feeding your kid healthy. They're probably not eating a whole lot of salt. Even if they are eating iodized salt, it's probably not a whole lot. So yeah, that's a whole thing. And another big reason why I think it's really important for vegan kids to get some sort of multi, something that has iodine in it. I don't think you're going to be able to find, well, I guess they have some certain iodine drops. Again, talk to your doctor. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. Support the channel, patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. Shirt if you want. Check it out. Ugly soy bitch. It's just so weird to say. Trying to be upbeat. I know a lot's going on right now, and it really sucks, and it's really stressful, and hopefully everyone is staying safe and not listening to our government and actually listening to experts and, staying away from people as much as possible. And hopefully this is entertaining because we all need that right now. This is when entertainment, whatever form it takes, is really, really important, right? We can't just all sit around our houses and mope. We need to try to be, be careful, but be at least a little bit positive as well. And I think we need things to kind of take our minds off of stuff. So maybe this helped do that at least a little bit. Yeah. Thanks again for watching, and I will have a new video very soon.